And naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club. Joyful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Gascoigne gonna have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! Unbelievable! Oh, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
Dempsey's on the tap in. What a fantastic run. He scored! And it's turned home. Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America. Season 2, Episode 4 of the Hotspur America podcast. As you can hear, Ken is back. I am back. And drop the kiddo off.
Boo!
Boo!
Well, it
all
seems
those
to
texts
be
of
the
we're never doing that without you again.
trend of the moment right now.
Yeah, the gaffer's back.
Wow.
Dropped the kiddo off at college. Thanks, Simon and Sam, for covering for me, getting that done, and I got back and wanted to spend some time not doing this as soon as I got back in. So I really appreciate last week. I thought it was very informative. We got a lot of good feedback on that episode, so thank you very much. Sam and Simon are with me. Simon, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Very good, very good, very good.
Good. What are we drinking tonight?
I was hoping when I went back to the store that they'd have some of that nice community mosaic IPA, so I had to. They didn't, bastards. So I had to have some Sam Adams, a Rebel Rouser. It's a good staple fallback.
There you go. And Sam Zerwell, soon to be Papa again, is with us again. And Sam, how are you?
I'm well. I'm glad that we didn't burn the place down while you were away. And
We tried.
Yeah, we did. We did. But
I saw smoke when I was driving home. I didn't know what was going on.
But the podcast appears to be intact, so welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Got pictures from her today. She starts class tomorrow. She's got her dorm room all done up with little Christmas lights and her desk, and they've rearranged all their furniture. It looks really cool. I'm really happy for her. So
it's an exciting time. It's an incredibly exciting time.
It's one of these life transition things. With speaking of transitions, there's 2 days left in the transfer window. Holy crap! Twitter and social media are all abuzz with what could possibly happen and what probably won't happen based on recent history. What was the last big deadline day signing? Was it Lloris? Was
Lloris, I mean, the big one, like out of nowhere, was probably Van der Vaart.
Right.
Did we get Dempsey on the last day? I think we got Dempsey on the last day.
Yeah, is he bigger than Lloris though? Was that
well,
the big transfer?
In this country.
Yeah, in this country it was massive, but over in the UK,
But I think you're right. Van der Vaart had the biggest impact.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the two that I remember that literally nobody saw coming was Van der Vaart and Edgar Davids. But I think what's interesting, and maybe this is a good segue to talk about Berahino, Ken, is that I think there's a lot of parallels between what went on with Lloris and how long and drawn out that transfer saga was. The Lyon chairman said that Levy was just an absolute disaster to deal with, very similar to West Brom's chairman sort of slagging Levy off and slagging off our sort of cheap approach to valuation and then also payment plans or installment plans, if you will. So
right.
My thought is it wouldn't terribly surprise me if he ends up signing before Tuesday.
That's going to be interesting. It really is. And if he does, how formidable you've got to go to a 4-4-2. You have to play 2 strikers. Son theoretically is a wide man, but he can play striker. And I was looking at the Bundesliga, and he's just a kid. I didn't realize how young he was. He's 22?
22. Just turned.
So he's scored as many goals as Aaron Robben in the Bundesliga, which was tied for most. So this kid is a stud. I mean, he's really very, very fine-footed around goal, and I can see him possibly. It looks like he plays a little bit more off the right side. Possibly up the middle, but you're not going to really displace Eriksen, I don't think, when he's healthy off the middle. If you sign Berahino, he's got to play a little bit like a Sturridge role. You can't put him on the bench, can you? And just leave him there and have him sub for Kane at the... because Kane's generally going to play 90 minutes.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because he's admittedly a player that I don't know very well, but I certainly know that he comes from a league that typically transposes well into success in the Premier League. There's lots of similarities. He's completely two-footed. He's not short on size, and he certainly has a goal-scoring record. So where and how he can't fit into I don't think he fits into a 4-2-3-1. So I'm right there with you.
Unless you're playing him wide.
Get your thoughts. Yeah, but it didn't really look like. I mean, we're all YouTube experts now, right? I mean, I sent out a tweet earlier in the week, like, I spent 30 seconds watching him, and I now approve of the purchase. So I don't really know much about him. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's got blazing speed. You have Njai to sort of do that. But if you don't switch to a 4-4-2, then a guy like Chadley, I'm assuming his spot's in play. I don't know how you fit all this together, especially if you get a Berahino as well.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Berahino is, listen, Harry's got a little bit of speed, and he used to be very cumbersome, it seemed like, on the ball a couple of years ago when he would play in Europa League and things like that, cups. Last year, it was really recognized that his speed really picked up. He's really not blazing fast yet, but he's more of a strength player. He really is, and I think Berahino will add that speed aspect to what Spurs is trying to do, and it'll help to throw off maybe an offside trap, or, like I said, do something like what Liverpool was doing with Suarez and Sturridge, where you kind of play them off of one another, and the other one always ends up open. And then if you have Eriksen, Son, and Chadley playing behind them, almost like a 4-1-3-2, it'll probably be more of a 4-4-2, I would guess. And Dyer looked really well yesterday, so it's all a matter of what you do. There's other, Wanyama, I think that one's a little more dead than most. It seems like he kind of died out, and the Witsel talk has picked up massively. And I'm scratching my head trying to remember where we first heard that.
You've been waiting for your day.
Episode 0, we talked transfer window, and Ken said,
did you go back and listen to it just to make sure that you said it? Admit it.
No, dude, I haven't yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to listen. Okay, we're going to stop right here, and I'm going to go find that audio.
Remind everybody what you
And if I can go find that audio, it'll get inserted right here.
Remind everybody what you claimed. Go on.
I did. I said we were just kind of throwing around names and things like that, and I said, the Belgian connection that we kind of have, what about Axel Witsel in the center defensive mid, or something to that effect? And we talked about it briefly, but we were talking about so many players, and it was all speculation because this was early in the transfer window as far as what's going on at the beginning of the season, and here we are in week 4, which is a whole nother topic. It'll be interesting, and we can do this in a second. I would like to get your input on this transfer window and it going into the 4th week of the season, and what it does to smaller clubs, what it does to, or what it allows the more glamorous clubs to do, and should it end before the season starts? It's a big topic for debate.
We touched on that last week, and I think we even discussed it via social media afterwards. Yeah. But until UEFA, and probably sanctioned by FIFA, get all the leagues to agree that this is when it's going to start, regardless of when their seasons start, it's probably never going to happen. Yeah. This has clearly gone on longer than last time because of the early start for the Premier League, and it's gone 4 weeks instead of the 3 we had last year in the international break. But it is asinine because it creates this trickle-down effect that really hurts the smaller clubs. So, if people go and raid someone that, say, got relegated, that has players they need to jettison, will they replace them with run-of-the-mill players from maybe lower down that league or a further division? And obviously those guys, no one really cares about those teams anymore because they're mired in obscurity, and it's irrelevant to the big clubs. So that's, I think, where you have this dilemma. And if you said everyone had to get everything done by the Friday before kickoff, because here's the other thing that really I think is probably irritating to the Spurs fans now. You've got G, who has been signed for 2 weeks now and not played, but we now come to find out he was carrying a knock from Lyon's preseason. Yeah. And Son, of course, doesn't have his work permit yet. And I know G got his, but that's where the injury came up. So basically, we've missed a total of 3 weeks for those guys in being able to play for the team, because of the tardy piece of business that we've done, whether that's a knock on Levy or other clubs just holding a gun to our head. And we'll never know that, but that's the frustrating part for us, because when we go to talk about our performances, and we've obviously done a very good job of United, Stoke and Leicester, but when we talk about Everton and what we were lacking, we're going to be looking over our shoulder as to what we could have had on the field had things fallen into line. And I think that's the frustrating part for all of these Spurs fans. And I don't have any time of day for those who just having a moan for moaning's sake, because they're going to do it regardless of whether we win 5-0 or we draw 0-0 at Everton. But at the end of the day, we'd all like it to change. I don't know if I ever will. Sam, thoughts?
No, I agree with a lot of what you had to say there, both of you, for that matter. I mean, it's hard to dissect. It's hard to really have a full appreciation or understanding of why we do things. I don't think the argument can be made that we wait late because it saves money. I just think that's, and we talked about it last week, there's always going to be an element of the window that gets done late. I don't know. Interesting 36 hours to go.
Yeah, and it's what, 41, I guess, really. I mean, by the time at the time we're recording, I was just trying to do the math. It's about 41 hours, and the window will close. So it's really going to be interesting to see what gets done, because I look down and I've been scratching down names. If we get one of these, I will be astonished, just because of how little time there is and how much fine print goes into these things. Now, isn't there? I'm trying to remember. There's some, if things are in motion and they've gotten to a certain point of the contract, they can extend for an hour or two, trying to get some of these guys actually play.
Yes, I think it's happened before in the past, where if both parties agree, or prove to the
FA going to United, they couldn't find the training ground. They were showing them traipsing through the mud and cars, and they were lost in the jungle somewhere. It looked like.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. I think there's been some instances recently where deals have been agreed to by both parties in principle, but forms haven't been signed. But the FA has approved the deal, and it, subject to docs being completed. I think that's accurate. What precedent actually needs to happen, I'm not entirely sure. But I think you're right.
If somebody does get signed, Witsel, Berahino, I don't think Austin's coming here. He'll go to West Brom, I think, if he goes anywhere. Wanyama, or anybody else. Who do you think we actually sign? Based on what we know about our squad now, where's the biggest need, and who do you think we sign?
The only one that I think we actually do sign, and I'm sorry, Ben, because I've vacillated and gone back and forth on this. Ben Foreman at San Diego Spurs. I think we do sign Berahino. I really do think we sign Berahino. I think we have. I'm pretty darn sure, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that we do indeed have a bid in for Witsel, but it's all a function of where he wants to go.
Yeah.
Wanyama, I just don't know that Southampton. I don't know whether they really, in the back of their minds, believe that he could go and have identified a suitable replacement and somebody that they can secure that quickly. That's the hard part about really rating. But I just ask you this question as sort of a follow-up, and then we'll leave both these questions maybe for Simon. Do you really think that we end up leaving Tuesday without signing a player?
No.
Okay. So who is that?
Just that? I mean, ITK, right? Or as I refer to it as, I don't have a fucking clue.
It should be in the knot.
Yeah, in the knot. Because no one really knows. People will feed you nuggets and whispers of what they've heard third hand, but it's one of those conversations starts that we're signing Axel Witsel, and we end up with some pony from Bristol Rovers, who ends up being a megastar that we then sell to Real Madrid 2 years later. Mm-hmm. But
Dele Alli.
I really, really disturbed at how much money, because he's English and I get it, that Berahino is being asked for. I mean, 25 million quid, that's ridiculous money. He's not worth it. But we've put ourselves in this predicament, and this chairman has been very vocal in talking to the press, which I think is bang out of order. But you could ask, has Levy kind of brought that upon himself by doing his business late yet again? I think that's probably the most frustrating thing for all of us. So I can see us probably getting Berahino and being kind of arse raped with that sum, whether it's up front or it's in installments or whatever.
Being what?
Being subjected to a little sodomy.
That's an interesting transfer window visual there.